for jumping on this. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the UK. I live in a place called Leeds. It's in the north of England.
Great. I saw your website, Wood Real Estates. It's quite interesting. Great to meet you. Before we dive in, here's how the call will go today. We'll start with your background and the industry trends you are seeing. Then we will discuss your current challenges and where you want to be in next 6 to 12 months. Finally, we'll wrap up by exploring any next steps if it makes sense. The whole conversation will take 30 to 40 minutes. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Can you please share a bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at Wood Real Estates?
So yeah, I mean, basically, Wood Real Estate is my company, and I set it up to connect in investors with off-market property deals. So below market stuff, it's this kind of stuff that I buy personally. Because sometimes it can be hard finding these deals on the open market. A lot of investors are short on time and they need somebody to step in, help them find these sort of deals, and I package them up for them, pass them on, and yeah, it's going pretty well at the moment.
So basically, you're looking for properties below market, yeah?
Yeah, below market values, generally stuff that's come from distressed sellers, people that maybe are struggling to sell on the open market. They may have been left a property in probate. There's all different kinds of situations where somebody would agree to sell below market value, and it's trying to find a win-win for both sides.
Yeah.
Some people consider most people like myself sharks, but the people that sell through us are generally very happy with the result that they get on the back end.
Yeah, if somebody needs a quick money, quick sale, not fall throughs, yeah, they contact you basically, yeah?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. And what does a typical day look like for you?
So a typical day can make up, various different things, because I have my own property portfolio. I've got over 40 units now. So generally I'll check in with the property manager, see if there's anything that I need to, discuss with them, if there are any issues that need cleaning up. Then I will reach out to various investors, have chats with them, find out what their requirements are, try and find properties that fit their needs, tying up deals. It can be a variation of things.
And what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
I mean, there's smart and sustainable homes. That's something that's coming in quite big now. There's also AI, blockchain contracts, digital mortgages, streamlining transactions. All these kind of things are starting to creep in now. A lot of agents are using tech tools for lead gen, CRM, and data analytics, just to gain that little bit of an edge. There's also hybrid living spaces. Demand's rising for homes with home offices, gyms, multifunctional rooms. So it's kind of, a lot of people are working from home now. So the properties need to support both the life and work. Lots more short-term rentals, Airbnb style models, which I do a bit of myself. Investors are, shifting towards flexible leasing models, especially in the UK, because the PRS, the private rental sector, is completely overregulated at the moment by the government. So tenants have much more rights than the actual landlords at the minute. So landlords are looking to shift to this more flexible model where a potential person that's staying in your property, doesn't have the rights that the government has afforded them. And you have a little bit more control.
How has this AI and renters right bill impacted your business or your growth strategy?
Well, not so much as yet. I mean, as I said, it just seems to be coming in. I am using some software to find deals myself. Using a platform called Boom, and that's very good for finding off-market properties. So I've started using that a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, the traditional methods still do work. It's just about meshing the old with the new, in my view.
Okay. And what's working well for you right now, and what's been frustrating?
Well, I mean, from a landlord's perspective, I'd say frustrating is the overregulation of the market by the government. In the UK, we've got a socialist government at the moment, and they just don't seem to understand the private rental sector at all. They're kind of using a hammer to crack a nut. And I think previously we had more of a balance with the legislation that was previously in place, and I think that was fair. Now it's swung very much in the tenant's direction. You know, landlords are struggling with this, and you know, if you haven't got a good managing agent in place that's taking care of all your documentation, etc., and making sure that you are compliant, you can very quickly get caught out and you know, find yourself in trouble. You know, I'm trying to make prospective landlords, especially new ones that are coming in and buying property from myself, aware of all of this and making sure that they're set up in the correct way going forward, because it is a bit of a minefield now with the regulation here.
Apart from regulation, is there anything else affecting your business? Or
I mean, not so much. I'd say that was the big one at the moment. Again, a lot of people are looking to invest abroad now because they're seeing the UK as uninvestable. So people are looking to places like Dubai, for instance, where the market is very buoyant and you don't have the type of taxation and regulations that we have in the UK. So yeah, a lot of investors are looking abroad. There has been a bit of a lull in the UK property market. And from what I can see, prices do seem to be on a bit of a downturn at the moment. And I think that could continue into the new year.
okay, and which metrics are you most focused on improving?
So for me personally, I'm most focused on improving cash flow, because that's generally what I look at when I take a property on. It's very rare that I'll buy a property and sell it if it's for myself. I'll tend to hold things and look at cash flow alone to build my portfolio. You know, my goal is to eventually move out of the UK, which I'm very sad to say, but I thought I'd always stay here. But I think with the way the country's going at the moment, you know, I want to create enough cash flow so I can move elsewhere, live comfortably, and then maybe set up something abroad. It'll be obviously something to do with real estate, I would have thought.
And where you want to be in next 6 or 12 months from now?
But I don't know. Maybe add maybe another million to the portfolio size. That would be ideal. Find lots more deals for my investors and try and build the sourcing side of the business. And potentially, you know, within the next year, I'm looking at either moving to Dubai or Cyprus. We haven't decided as yet exactly where it is we want to go. I was out in Dubai last week. Spent a bit of time there. I actually loved it. And I'm going to Cyprus with my wife on the 7th of December. So we're going to take a look out there as well and see what's the better option for us. So that's the goals going forward.
You mentioned the goal for the business is to add £1 million portfolio.
Yeah.
If you had a magic wand to fix just one thing in your business that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
Well, acquiring more deals at the correct price. I think there's a bit of a lag from when the market was buoyant, so sellers are still expecting prices that just aren't achievable anymore. So negotiating with sellers because they've not quite come to terms with the reality of the market at the moment can be quite difficult. I viewed 3 properties yesterday, and the seller was slightly unrealistic regarding the prices of the properties where they should be at. All the properties were tenanted as well, which are, you know, a lot more difficult to sell with tenants in situ. The guy was hoping for full market value on these things, and it's kind of hard to get through to people that, you know, these sort of assets, especially when tenanted, which are not bringing in the true rental return which they should. These things can be difficult to manage. So there's got to be, as I said, a win-win on both sides. But what I'm finding with a lot of sellers at the moment is they just want the win and they're not prepared to give any ground.
That's interesting. Can you expand on that? What they want, basically, the sellers. So they want the full high price, or
Yeah, they're expecting full. Well, so a lot of people that come to me are landlords that have just got tired of the regulation in the UK and they want to sell up. Because even yesterday we had the budget and she brought in more restrictions against landlords, higher taxes, especially if you own a property in your personal name. It's very, very hard to make any kind of money if you own them in your personal name. Now, I experienced this myself. So in my 20s, I built up a portfolio of 10 properties, which I was quite proud of at such a young age. And I bought them all in my personal name because that was the way to do it at that time. At that time, yeah. And then George Osborne came in, a previous chancellor, and he brought in something called the Section 24 tax. Now, I don't know how familiar your audience will be with this because I'm from the UK. I don't know where your audience are based. But it was Section 24 tax. And essentially, you couldn't claim back any of the expenses against the rent that you were bringing in. That's the simplest way of explaining it. So say, for instance, if you were getting £1,000 in rent, you were taxed on that whole £1,000 and you weren't allowed to deduct your mortgage expenses or any other expenses, in fact, from that. So that massively affected the properties that I held.
Mm.
I then had to sell those properties and I kind of lost my way a little bit. I was very depressed because I'd thought, oh, I'll keep these and they'll be my mortgage one day. I mean, sorry, they'll be my retirement one day and, I'll get them paid off. But as it worked out at the time when he brought this in, it was actually costing me money to hold these properties. I was paying, almost essentially paying for people to live in them. And it was a nightmare. So I had to sell them all. Then I spent a few years just scratching my head as to what to do. And I tried many other different businesses in different industries, but they didn't work out. And then I had to think to myself, like, what is the only thing that I know? And that is property, because that's constantly what I've worked in from being a young man. So I went back to property, and this was only it was at the end of 2022, at the very end of 2022, and I set up my business, and yeah, I've just gone from strength to strength since then. So, but this time set up correctly. I didn't buy the properties within my personal name, bought them within a limited company, and yeah, did things the right way around.
Do you think this is an industry-wide issue or more unique to your business?
Well, I'm not sure. I think a lot of industries are suffering in the UK at the minute. If you have a look at the market, investors, especially foreign investors, are very hesitant to invest given the state of the economy at the moment and the way it's being run. So, yeah, I think every industry is being hit. It's not just the property industry, but the property industry is particularly vulnerable to these kind of attacks because you can't move the property anywhere. The property's in the UK and the government know that. A lot of other businesses, they could move to another country, another jurisdiction, and that's easy for them to do. So the government is a little bit more hesitant about going after these sort of businesses. Whereas property, I can't pick it up and move it to Dubai. I wish I could, but I can't. So yeah, they are really coming after the property industry and people involved in property quite hard at the minute. So yeah, it has been tough.
That was great. Thank you so much for sharing these insights. Once we have compiled all our podcast conversation, I'll send you a summary that should be really interested.